excited to be here. Now, when I was a kid, I would get too excited about things, and not in a good way. Because every time I did, I would throw up. From ages 1 to 7, I was diagnosed with a terribly inconvenient condition called bronchospasms, where it seemed like every time my heart rate went up, so did my food. When I was those ages, my mom practically had to wear a hazmat suit in the car, because God forbid I saw a Disneyland sign, her outfit would have been ruined. Eventually, I grew out of that condition, and everybody in my family was relieved that I could finally keep my food down. But on Thanksgiving break of 2013, something strange happened. My food started coming out of the other end, and not in a good way. A week went by, and it felt like somebody was grabbing my stomach and squeezing it hard. I went to the hospital and was diagnosed with a case of bad pumpkin pie. A bottle of antibiotics later, and I went back along with my life like nothing had happened. But then it came back. Around New Year's, and it was stronger this time. I was now bleeding, vomiting, I had a fever, and so now my parents didn't want to take any chances. I went straight back to the hospital and underwent a variety of tests. I woke up from the colonoscopy, and I met my new GI specialist. Now, as a kid, I lost my mind thinking I was meeting G.I. Joe. But I had the much less interesting GI, a gastroenterologist. Now, my parents and I, we followed him into his office to take a look at what he found. Now, I wasn't really listening to anything that was being said until I heard the word, disease. Now I was listening, not because I was scared of what it meant for me, but because I saw the look on my mom's face. I heard the GI say something about how I would never be able to drink in my life, and I saw my dad breathe a sigh of relief. But not before I saw the same look go across his face. In my daze, I almost missed what was said next. Krishna, a cure hasn't been found for this disease. Frankly, we aren't even sure what causes it, or how to prevent it, or even how to properly treat it. As a kid, I couldn't fully grasp the gravity of what was just said. The questions started to race through my mind. No cure, what does that mean? Am I going to be okay? Can this be fixed? I looked around and I saw the same questions going through my parents' heads. So what did I do to try to answer those questions? I went straight home to my computer. What is ulcerative colitis? It's an autoimmune condition, a branch of inflammatory bowel disease that takes the form of inflammation of the lower colon. It's what happens when my white blood cells register my colon as a foreign and harmful body and start to attack it. As I went through more of the results, I found who was the most likely group of people to have this disease. As it turns out, it was white and Hispanic people about 45 years of age living in poverty. Yet there I was, a 4th grade chubby Indian boy living in Irvine. It posed yet another question for me, one that I wouldn't be able to answer, one that I gave up trying to answer. Why me? For the next few years, I missed countless birthday parties, field trips, hangouts, and weeks of school. I would be in class for a month or two and then out for a couple of weeks. Eventually, I found a medication that worked for me. So now I only have to miss one period of school every 8 weeks. But none of my friends really knew what was going on with me. I mean, sure, I told a couple of them that I had a disease, but I never talked about it. The magnitude of my silence never hit me until I heard what my friends thought was going on with me, what they still think is going on with me. I remember we were trying to plan a time to meet up, and I couldn't make it because of one of my treatment sessions. And one of my friends asks, "Wait, why do you have to get treated?" And before I could even respond, another one of my friends says, "Oh, you don't know? He's got some explosive diarrhea." Now, we all started laughing, myself included. And it didn't bother me at first, but as time went on, I realized that none of my friends really knew what was going on with me. I never told them. I had never corrected them, because I didn't want to make them feel uncomfortable. I didn't want to stomp all over their joke. I didn't want to be dubbed as overdramatic. So I didn't talk about it. Ulcerative colitis is called one of the invisible diseases, because if you look at me, you won't think that there's anything wrong with me. If you look at one of the over 3 million people who've been diagnosed with this disease, you won't think that their bodies are in constant struggle. But it's invisible for another reason. It's invisible not only to the eyes, but also to the ears. Because people don't talk about it. Because I didn't talk about it. And because of that, it wasn't only my friends who didn't change, I didn't change. And so what right did I have to be hurt or angry that my friends didn't remember it as a part of me? I stayed that same scared 9-year-old kid who was afraid of what people would think, what his friends would think, and the way he would be treated would be changed. So I didn't talk. I didn't want to accept that I was different. So I didn't talk. I was afraid of saying something out loud because doing that is the ultimate form of validation. I didn't want to accept that I had flaws, so I didn't speak of them. I was so afraid that if I admitted I had problems, those problems would become the only things that defined me. But it's okay to talk. Because only through talking can we embrace the past as who we are. So I decided to try. I tried talking about my disease. I tried letting people know what was really going on with me. And I was shocked. People actually started to listen. And they didn't pity me or ridicule me. They treated me like I always had. Except now they had the knowledge of who I really was, who I am. And along the way, I found other people who were going through the exact same thing as me, standing right next to me. Together, we were starting to talk. Together, we were removing the veil. Together, we were making the invisible visible. And by talking, we were getting rid of our fear. Because it's only through talking that we can do anything in this world.